what we're looking at here is a tibial external rotation test. So this is important for our breaststrokers because it helps them get that rotation of the shin to turn their foot out and get that propulsion of their breaststroke kick. So to do this, what I'm going to get Zahn to do is just squaring himself up on the table. Sometimes I like to get the athletes, if they can, bringing their legs together. And what I'm going to get Zahn to do is basically keep his knees together and pull his ankles apart as far as he can. So Zahn's a triathlete, but he's actually got very good external rotation here. So same thing again, what we do is we do measure it. So using our goniometer again, I'm going to set it up in a line to start, and then I'm just going to get Zahn to rotate out, rotate out, rotate out. And what we're looking for here is about 45 degrees, which Zahn's bang on this left-hand side. And then we'll measure on the right-hand side as well, rotating out. And he's just under on this side, just below 45, but over 40 degrees. And what we're aiming for, particularly in our breaststroke population, is that there's a combined range of about 90 degrees there. Once again, it doesn't mean you're not going to have success as a breaststroker if you don't have this range. We'll probably find that somewhere else along the kinetic chain, you're finding that motion. The next test we're going to do for probably more so our breaststroking population will be our combined tibial external rotation and hip internal rotation test. So I'm going to ask Zahn to come back onto his stomach for me, and his head can go in the hole. And what this test looks at is it looks at very specifically the breaststroke kick position, so where the athletes are actually building all their propulsion from. So what we do with this is, once again, I do like to see if I can get my athlete to bring their knees together if we can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend him up. I'm going to add in some tibial external rotation. And then what we're going to do is rotate his legs apart. And what we're aiming for, yeah, where do you feel that stop is on? Yeah, so a lot of people will either report feeling it up quite high on they'll sort of say hammy, but a lot of the time it's actually the adductor insertion or through the front of the hip. And then once again, we can measure that range, and we have some normative data for our breaststrokers as well that you can use to assess yourself against. The final couple of tests that we will look at around the lower body for our athletes, if I get Zahn to flip over onto his back again, a common standard practice physio test that we would use. So the first one is having a look at hip internal rotation. So coming up, starting at about 90 degrees, stabilising through the femur, and then just bringing Zahn out and having a look at his internal rotation range, which is really quite good. Sometimes what I'll do, if I've got a breaststroker in particular or someone that's had a past history of hip pain, I'll also bring them into a quick fader and see if it reproduces any symptoms.
Yeah, a little
so,
bit to the inside of the
yep,
hip.
inside of the hip, yep, so where your underwear sit. Yeah. We can also then go straight into a hamstring test. Now, a lot of people wonder why we go into assessing the length of our hamstrings. For our pool swimmers, it's actually really important to have good hamstring length because it allows them to get into a position that maximises their power in their dive. Little bit less important for our open water swimmers who have a slightly different dive, but certainly also important for our triathletes or endurance athletes that will go from being on a bike and then getting up to run, and also sometimes alternating their training from bike to swim. So we start 90 degrees at the hip and we're just looking to straighten up. And Zahn's pretty good. Yeah, feel a little bit of resistance there.
Yeah.
Yep. And once again, you can eyeball it, but you can also use your measuring devices like your inclinometer and your goniometer to get a measure. Remember, a lot of our screening is just seeing what's really normal for our athlete.